In the heart of Nevada County, there's a place where hope has a second chance. Meet Sammie's Friends, a nonprofit organization dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and rehoming animals in need. Since 2004, Sammie's Friends has been a lifeline, providing medical care, love, and forever homes. Every animal deserves a second chance. That's why we do what we do. Thanks to supporters like you, these tails keep wagging. Be a friend, be a hero, be part of Sammie's Friends, because every life matters. Donate today.
I'd like to introduce to you now our next guest, Dr. Thomas Morrow from the Wolf Creek Veterinarians Hospital, right over in Idaho, Maryland. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a topic that, particularly this time of the year, is something that better be on your radar, and that's rattlesnake bites. Doctor, how prevalent is that right now?
Well, there's about 300,000 rattlesnake bites in dogs and cats in the United States a year, so it's no small problem. And if you're in an area where there's a lot of them, you know, not an apartment in New York City, right, but in rural areas, they're all at risk. My own dog, my wife had a C-section. I was at the hospital a lot, and I wasn't home for a day or so, and my dog had been bitten and was already dead. And I lived out in a rural area, and it's just, that's my own dog, and it's common. When I worked in an endemic area outside of Wheatland by Campfire West Lake, I probably treated 50 snake bites a year. So it is a common thing.
Let me ask you, when a dog or a cat's been bitten, how much time do they have time to get the necessary inoculations to save their life?
Well, most of the time the dog's looking at the snake and they get it on the face. And normally that's a defensive bite, so the snake doesn't deliver that much venom usually, but you don't know. Normally when they get in another part of their body, they deliver more toxin. So it's all dependent on how much toxin they got. But they all will swell up like mad. I mean, in 15 minutes, your dog's face is just obviously swollen, and it's really evident. It's not a bee sting. It's severe, and once again, it's dependent on how much they get. But to answer your question, usually you want to get good attention within 2 hours when they've been bit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm aware in different parts of the country they have, and probably locally here too, they actually have snake avoidance classes for our doggies and cats. Tell us about what's going on, what's available locally.
You know, there's some trainers that offer that, and they have classes in it, and teach you how to essentially teach your dog to not like snakes and stay away. It's hard with cats, but cats getting bit by snakes is much less common than with dogs.
But they're pretty quick and reactionary, aren't they?
Yeah. And I don't think they fiddle too much. Their dogs are real curious about that kind of thing, you know. So yeah.
Well, I live out in the Cedar Ridge area. We've got like a forested area out there, and I think the rattlesnakes a lot, but it's not. We're just a quarter mile away from Rattlesnake Road. So what does that tell you? But is there anything you would recommend? I want to just tap into your brain. The 36 years you've been in operation, what do you recommend as far as good housekeeping to maybe help avoid, an interaction between your pet and a snake?
Well, there's two things to do. You eliminate or minimize the environment that the snake likes to live in, and they want cover, they need water, which, if you have a creek in your house, then you're not going to avoid that, but they like rocky areas, they like going under decks, things like that. So you just look around your property and say, if it's just flat out in the lawn, they're not going to stay there. They've got to go where there's cover, and you just try to block all that. And then the other thing you can do for safety is, if your dog is at risk for rattlesnake bites, is to get them vaccinated. There is a rattlesnake vaccine.
Tell us about that. How much does that vaccination cost, and how effective has it been, and how often should they do it?
Well, I was the very first veterinarian to have the rattlesnake vaccine. It was developed in a company in Woodland, and they got it licensed in California, and they came right out to me because of where I was at Campfire West, and I started using it immediately, and I'm not aware of a snake coming to me dying since that had the vaccine. The vaccine does not make them immune to snake bites. If they get bit, they still have to be treated. No question about it. But it gives you a safety margin for two things. Number one, prevent them from dying from the toxin, and it gives them more time, so you find them and then you get them help. The other thing is, when the snake bites, it causes damage to tissue, and even if a dog doesn't die from that, they can lose a limb. It can kill tissue and cause big infections and cause all kinds of problems. So the vaccine helps prevent that while you get help.
How much does a shot like that cost?
What's it? About $50.
$50 isn't much, for
No,
being in an at-risk
it's once
area
a year,
like
and
that.
it's good to give it around February, so you have the highest protection through the summer. Yeah.
Doctor, I've got about 15 seconds. Can you tell us a little bit more in 15 seconds as to what the scope is of your coverage over at the veterinarian? Do you handle reptiles? Do you do horses? And I got 10 seconds.
We do dogs, cats, reptiles, birds, and pocket pets.
Very good. You are wonderful. Talk about concise. Dr. Thomas Morrow from the Wolf Creek Veterinarian Hospital in Grass Valley. Thank you for being a guest. We'll be right back.